Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. It's been a long wait, but we're back. And as you can see, we have some special guests with us tonight. But before we get into that, my name is Duran. I am the one of the young adult ministers here at New Mount Zion, and alongside me, I have my partner Paul with me.
What up?
So very quickly, we're excited to be back. But before we get into what we want to talk about tonight, I do want to introduce our two new, I guess you can say, co-hosts or
Partners.
Ministry partners. I like that. I like that. Let's start with Jasmine. Jasmine, introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you is.
Hey everyone, my name is Jasmine Robinson, and I'm excited to be here and to be a part of this new community. Well, not new, but this community.
And we have, so we have Jasmine, and now we have one of my favorite people, my cousin, Maya. Maya, introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, I'm Duran's cousin. My name is Maya. But no, seriously, really glad to be here and to share space with y'all digitally and really excited to get into this conversation tonight.
Yeah. So y'all, just being honest, we had to get a female perspective on some stuff because we have a lot of great ideas, but they really help push us. So thank y'all for y'all cooperation.
What can we say?
Yeah.
Cooperation and time. Oh, here we go.
It's an honor, sir. Truly.
That's nuts. That's nuts. I can't wait till we start recording because I got so much ammo now. Yeah. All right. It's an honor. As y'all can see, we have our we are updating our line a little bit with our G-R.E.A.L swag here. It's soon coming to a New Mount Zion near you where you can purchase it because we want everybody to be, I guess, swagged out just like us at some point. So just be on the lookout for, watching Power 105, they always say talking to the mic. You gotta remember to talking to the mic because my voice ain't very loud or deep anyway. But anyway, tonight we want to get into the topic of why is it important to have a young adult ministry, or why is it important to be a part of your young adult ministry of your church? So we know we have people who may watch who don't go to New Mount Zion. Maybe you're a part of your young adult ministry, maybe you're not, but hopefully we can kind of talk through some things and kind of get a better understanding of what that means for young adults, for this millennial age and so forth. So I am going to pass it over to Minister Paul Robinson because my dog had a topic and he wanted to talk about it. So Paul, let's go.
All right. So we just wanted to talk a little bit. The last podcast we talked about the scriptural background for the G-R.E.A.L ministry. So this go around, we want to talk about why do we even need ministry for young adults? So I want to open up the floor and just get some other people's opinions and what their thoughts about why do churches need age-specific ministries for their church, such as the young adult ministry, which is what we represent, the G-R.E.A.L at New Mount Zion. So, Jasmine, you can start it off. Yeah. I can pick on her because she's my wife.
I'm still stuck on other people. Like, we're not sitting here.
Other folk.
Well, I mean, y'all here, so we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. That's why we got you here.
Yeah. He couldn't do it without me. Others. So, you ain't got to check others in the box.
So Jasmine, why do you think churches need or don't need, whatever your opinion, either or, a young adult ministry?
Since I'm being put on the spot to go first, I think that a young adult, or any ministry for that matter, focusing on age is very important because it takes, I guess it helps cater to that specific age group and that mindset at the time. So obviously we go through different developmental milestones as we grow and spiritual milestones. And I think, starting from children's church to going to the youth ministry, and then I feel like after the youth ministry, we kind of get lost in that sometimes. So that young adult ministry helps bridge that gap or helps provide that connection between young adults and I guess like the mature adults. Cause seriously, sometimes we get out there and we get lost. Like there's nothing for us to do. Like there's no more youth ministry. There's no other opportunities or events or anything for us to do. So having a young adult ministry helps kind of create that or open that door for people coming out of the youth ministry or people that may have left the church and are still in that age range for the young adult ministry to kind of come back to and get reacquainted with like the church and the ministry.
Thank you.
Ditto. Everything she said. But I do think, in addition to that, it is important. I don't know if need is the word, but I think it is. It shows a lot of really good leadership when churches have age-focused ministries, because it shows that the churches and the leadership and the pastor care that there is a space for young people to commune together, to get to know each other, instead of just, showing up on Sunday and going back home. And I think it helps make the content relative, right? Like, so we can talk about conversations like this, and know that we can relate to each other, be able to ask really good questions of each other, hopefully get really good answers from each other, instead of, it takes away the pressure or it provides vulnerability instead of, talking to maybe some older saints, senior saints, that might be, that might make that conversation a little bit uncomfortable. So I think it is important, and to the point, so many people, especially when you graduate, you go off to college sometimes, or you just drift away from church, and so I think it does help that reintegration back into fellowship.
Oh, I like that.
That's
Fellowship.
Yes.
Yeah. You grew up in church.
Into
Integrate into fellowship.
Yes.
That's the first point of her sermon.
Yeah.
That's how I realize she getting ready to preach tonight.
Wow.
Integration into fellowship. Yeah, I like that.
Where you at, Duran?
Well, I think for me, I believe that young adult ministry, a young adult ministry is important because, basically like y'all said, we need those people to kind of build with and grow with. Because when you look at, we'll just take Mount Zion, for example, from a lot of the relationships, like you see, like, I guess I'll call names like the Carlton Browns and the Valencia Simpsons, and I guess Gary would be a part of that. Or even Mr. Cole. They all kind of grew up together around that same time, and we see them still in the church. I think one of the biggest issues that I see is, like, we have a lot of young adults, and I don't do a great job of reaching out to them. I really don't. I'm not that guy, like, hey, how you doing, whatever. But we could have that, and if Zion is one of those churches that's going to continue to grow and to last, it kind of falls on us right now, because the seasoned saints have kind of done what they needed to do. The mature saints are kind of right there now, but without us, who does it fall on? A lot of times churches, they kind of grow with their pastors if their pastors are older, and you don't have young people. And you see a lot of these newer churches, these charismatic churches, they're drawing us away from what we know, because a lot of times we're stuck on some of the same things, whereas a young adult ministry, we can come together and say, hey, we can enhance these things. We don't have to change them. We don't have to come in and push people to the side. But if y'all have been doing this for X amount of years and it doesn't have the same impact as it once did, this is where that young adult ministry can come in and say, okay, these are some different ideas. These are some fresher ideas. But really, it gives us a community. It gives us a chance to fellowship. It gives us a chance to say, hey, we're around the same age. We have the same beliefs, this, that, and the third. Why can't we build a community together? Why can't we come together and integrate into fellowship? Yeah.
Listen, but you preached a word right there in terms of, like, how, especially in churches with denominations, how, a lot of us grow up in churches and Baptist churches or whatever, we leave and we're like, that's for old people, right? Yeah. And to your point about the non-denominational ones that are bright and shiny and have all the things, but it is our job to say, we believe still in the core values of our faith and what we believe, and we can still bring in young people and have fun and be able to relate to each other, to say it's not the church of old, but it's the church of what folks need.
Yeah, the church of now, the
Yeah.
church of present. Like, I think for all of, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm almost sure that we could say that we don't want to get rid of some of the old church. Like, that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the root of it, I'm a missionary Baptist boy. I love the hymns. I love a good devotion service. I love a good prayer with some humming in it. But at the same time, I want some up-to-date stuff too. I want to be around people my age. I know I'm rambling, but I guess as a preacher too, a young preacher at that, the extreme is we got guys way up here. We got mentors that we're looking at. Even some of the preachers that are a little bit older than us, like you think about the Daryl Browns and the Chris Queries, Damian Mays, and Keaton Brown, some local guys that.
I mean, you better name drop.
Yeah, I'm name dropping them. Man, hopefully they watch it too. No, but so like you have those guys who were mentors to you, but at the same time they're not. Or maybe Keaton and Damian, but like for me and Paul, you know, me, Paul, and Lorenz, we're the closest ones to each other's age, so we kind of need that breakaway. Like, I don't always want to be around preachers all the time. I want to be around
Other
the saints.
people?
I want to be around other people. I want to be around the common folk. Not the people with the dissertations and all this. No, but seriously though, like I think that's one of my, I'm not going to go there. That's one of the things that I think that is important for a young adult ministry, like you said, fellowship, but being able to communicate with people your age
Mm-hmm.
and go out to eat or go out to brunch. Like, we like brunch too. I like brunch, but I just be at church all the time.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I
like
be
brunch.
hating. I be at church. I want to go to brunch. I want to go to the 8 o'clock service and then leave and leave immediately after, but can't. So now trying to find that community to do that with. So.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what everybody said, community, because one, it helps build a strong community all together. Another thing, it's not a new concept.
Right.
Ministry to a different age group is not a new concept.
Right.
We always had the young youth and children. We have the WIA. We
Yeah.
have the senior women.
Mm-hmm.
We have the junior WIA.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, like I stated before, the men always just had the men's ministry.
Yeah. There was never
There was no age
separation.
group,
Yeah.
a separation with men, because we still was trying to get more men back to the church. So we still, it's a community all together, and I think it's not a new concept. We're just changing the name of what we call these certain groups that we're a part of and being a part of. So I don't think it's a new concept. So the church always needed relevant ministry towards people, towards certain age groups, because you're going through something different.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a preacher, you preach the Bible.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know how to preach is the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to preach is the Bible. And I'm going to preach community. I'm going to preach loving our neighbor. I'm going to preach us working together.
Yeah.
Then once I get down from the pulpit, I need to know how can I minister to the youth and children? How can I minister to the young adults? How can I minister to the middle age, the senior women, the seasoned saints? Because each one of them takes something a little differently ministry-wise.
Yeah.
So I can't expect to just overall talk to each age group the same.
Right.
It's a lot of studies and doctoral work about preaching across generations. I had the privilege of going to a conference and sitting in on a class about preaching to the different generations. Some of the colloquialisms that we use for the young adults ain't gonna fly with the senior saints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we may say something to them, to the baby boomers, and they may get it, but then the Gen Zs or the millennials are not going to get it.
Right.
So just like I know me and you talked about before, if we got to preach a whole different sermon if we're preaching for a youth service,
Yeah.
then we are preaching for a family and friends.
Yeah.
We can't.
Those be the hardest ones. The youth services.
Because we got to change up
That's true.
some of the things that we say. So I don't think it's a new concept for us having these age groups within the church that we minister to. So I think it's definitely important for us to understand that it's not a new concept. It's needed because it's relevant ministry. We're not changing the Bible by talking to different generations. We're just making it so you can understand, because you go through there's different storms at different age groups.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, actually, because that's another thing too. A lot of people are like, well, what's the young adult age group? Which I know me and Pastor Roundtree, we've had conversations like, hey, I know you said this, but I got these folk right here who want to, because when you think about it, we're 18 to 35.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But what does an 18-year-old and a 32-year-old have in common? You know what I mean? So there's a gap. There's a gap. I think that might be something we might have to look at. Like, what is considered a young adult? Because once they hit 35, where do they go from there? Mm-hmm. Especially the guys. So like the women, you can be a junior women, or
Your
WIA and all of that. But for the guys, it's like, okay, so now we just go straight to
we just brotherhood.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, right. You 37 years old and they're like, hey man, you like an athlete. It's time to retire, baby. You gotta sit down somewhere. But
sit down, serve it.
Yeah, something.
Sit down.
But it's true, because it's like we have, I think, the youth choir. I don't know if they still go up to 21 or 18. I can't remember, but if an 18-year-old come down, it's like, okay, well, you should probably be in a collegiate ministry more so than a young adult ministry.
Ooh, can we talk about that? What's the difference between a young adult and a collegiate ministry? Because people be in college at all type of ages.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true.
That's actually factual.
Some churches don't put them in a collegiate ministry. So what's the difference?
I don't know if there is a difference, and I don't know if there's a lot of churches that I know that have collegiate ministries. I know when I went to college, they had like little groups, for Christian groups and stuff like that. I don't know if it was like a subsidiary of a church, but I do think, to Deron, the question that you asked earlier about like what does an 18-year-old and a 35-year-old have in common, I wish 18-year-old me had a 35-year-old in a church to ask questions of, and like how do we make that intentional outreach that's like, come here, baby.
Right. They're like, come on, let's sit down. Let's teach you something.
Because I feel like, to the point that Jasmine was saying earlier, we just outside, right?
Yeah,
outside until God calls us in, and we're dragged in, right?
Drag it in on Sunday morning.
Or life has a way of finding, like, we'll get lost. Something happens in life, and it's like, oh, I need to go back to church.
That's right.
Because you don't have like that. No one there, like really, unless you grew up in a church, like with your grandparents and your mom, and they're consistently going. But we still kind of steer away from like those people as well to try and figure life out.
Because they tell you to do that.
Testimony.
That's what they tell you, baby. Life will no.
Just live a little. Wait till you get your testimony.
No, I need an instruction manual. I need specific.
I don't want people to have to go through that, because I know what it was like when I wasn't in church, and you have a story and all that, but it's just like just stay. Just stay. It'll help you so much more, but you don't know what people's journeys are. But as a young adult ministry, if there are like 10 people who come in, if we can keep 5 of them from journeying out and having to go through that rough patch, I think that's a win. I think that's a win. Like I said, I'm not good at approaching people after service. Like, oh yeah, see, you just joined. Got to do it. I'm not comfortable with it, but we gotta be there. I gotta be there to show them, like, hey, we got y'all. We here. Let's get it. Let's make it happen. We don't do everything every month, but when we do stuff, let's get it. You got a community. Let's talk.
Yeah, because I think it's probably easier for that 18-year-old to talk to a 35-year-old than Deaconess so-and-so. Because I know I was intimidated to go have them conversations. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. No, not.
It's real.
I ain't talking about nobody specific. And making an example. Put a disclaimer.
Right. Because even now, like, I don't know if maybe you've experienced it too, but people my age, they're like, you a preacher. I don't want to talk to you about this.
Lord Jesus.
Uh-oh. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Deron broke the mic earlier.
I didn't break it. See, it's easy for her to blame me for stuff because we family. But what was I saying?
What were we just talking
You said
about?
people don't want to talk to you because you're a preacher.
There we go. They're like, oh, you a preacher? I don't know if I want to talk. I'm like, but I'm still Deron too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give you some advice. You probably don't get a scripture with it. And that's what you don't want. Mm-hmm. You don't want me to go to the Bible on you, but we a ministry. We not an auxiliary.
So I have a question for you two then, speaking of that. Because, like, you guys are young ministers, and I guess, like, as far as relationship, how, like, do you find it harder to develop or create, like, authentic relationships with people? Like, do you feel that you're able to be your true authentic self with people that you connect with because of the titles that you guys hold? I guess, like, being your age, being ministers, you know, going out, and you want to be yourself, whatever your free self may be in your saved life, you know.
Saved life.
Like, seriously, do you feel like you're able to truly... Do you feel like you have a community of people around you where you're able to be yourself with no judgment as young ministers?
Yes. I believe I do. I don't lead with my title.
Okay.
Because, like I say, we've been around the block a little bit. We know that if we lead with title, that means we come in for business purposes. Mm-hmm. If I'm leading with my title, I'm here standing on business.
On our Father's business.
Yeah.
But a lot of people.
Flip tables.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. To anybody that knows me, to anybody that meets, I'm the same way. I don't lead with my title. People find out on the back end. Oh, you a minister. Mm-hmm. I don't lead with my resume. I feel that's not the way to truly meet people. So most of my friends, they feel comfortable around me. I don't know nobody who doesn't feel comfortable around me. But like I say, in certain settings, I may say, hey, yes, I'm Minister Paul Robinson. In other settings, I'm Paul.
But you ain't out here rebuking people like,
no,
you doing that, you going.
Nah. Every now and then, I may throw a Bible verse in a joke, but you know.
Yeah, it's like,
you know, the Bible say.
Yeah, right. I just want you to know, I'm here with you, but the Bible do say.
Yeah.
And that's a really good question, Jasmine, because I do think that there are expectations of ministers and folks who go out and spread the gospel to all nations. And
we all been called to do that.
That's true. That's true. And, like, you know, there's a lot of, I think, judgment and shame that we are taught, and I think that's probably a different conversation on this podcast or a different day about being a Christian and what that means. And so if you had any advice to give to young people watching this, what would you say about being a good example of being a young Christian? 1
Timothy 4:12.
Okay.
Set the believer in example.
Yeah.
So
I think scripture.
Yeah, you gotta now, granted you're talking to a flawed vessel. Like, y'all know me. we hang out, you know. So I'm gonna answer her question and yours. So to answer your question, I try to be myself around everybody. But to know Deron, if you know Deron, you know Deron. If you know Minister Graham, you know of Deron. You know what I mean? Because you can't not saying that you have to wear two faces, but it's an open podcast, safe space, you know, we real. I tell people all the time, if there's somebody that I'm going out with, sorry, Paul, I'm going with Paul because I know Paul's not finna put my business out in the streets. You know what I mean? Not saying that, you know, you got to have somebody to do dirt with, but at the same time, you got to have somebody to be open and honest with. Because when I come to New Mount Zion, it's Minister Graham. When I leave New Mount Zion, it's still Minister Graham, but it's mainly Deron because the man down the street don't know I'm a preacher. So it can be a little difficult at times trying to make friends, genuine friends, especially when you want to have a beard. And you pull it up. I was at a party once, and I had a drink, and somebody was like, "Oh, not the preacher." I almost threw it on her. Like, what?
We do not condone violence on this. I'm just kidding.
I had a
He's being
VH1
transformed.
I had a basketball wives moment. I was like, "Come on, man, I'm chilling." But I, my dad always says you understand it better by and by. Like after a while, I'm like, "Yeah, bro, you really should be careful where you try to be grown. Yeah, you grown, but you can't be grown everywhere."
Come on, dog.
That's wisdom.
And that's what I would tell the young people. You want to be grown. You can't be grown everywhere. You gotta learn. You gotta listen, but you have to set an example because, people are gonna see you as the little child who grew up and you did the plays and you prayed and all of that other stuff. But what did you learn from that? Because Paul also tells Timothy, like, basically don't neglect what you learned because that's gonna help get you through.
That's true.
And that's the same thing. So a lot of times our young people, they go off to school and they start hearing other stuff and they forget what they learned.
Yeah.
And then there's that missing link. There's that missing generation, which I guess tells you why we don't have an effective young adult ministry because they're out. Well, I heard the Hebrew Israelites say this, and I heard the Muslims say that. What did the Lord say? Because you need to remember what you grew up on. Because all of that other stuff, Jesus already said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me." So you can get all the information you want, and it's good to know about other religions, but you got to know about Christ. We are Christ-centered people. But that's what I would tell them. Don't be in a hurry to grow up. Listen. Stick to the word. I think if I could go back to 18-year-old Deron, I would tell him, stay in the word. All this partying and stuff is fine. It's great. But it's going to catch up with you after a while. You got to...
Everybody not in the church because they want to be.
Yeah.
They close the places down they used to go to.
So they said, I ain't got no choice.
They drop it hot. They got to put icing hat on their knees to get back up.
They ain't got the mega knees no more.
No, they blood pressure medicine don't mix with that. Those drugs.
Lord,
Amen.
Jesus, help us, God.
Yeah.
We need a lot
G-
of
G-
disclaimers.
G-R.E.A.L keeps it real.
You just keeping it real.
Listen,
We put the real in
they ain't gonna
G-R.E.A.L.
put this on the church site. They'll be like, "Hey, y'all need something else. Y'all got y'all Instagram page. Y'all too raw. Y'all too real
Oh
over
my
here.
God, today.
Y'all too real."
What advice would you give to people?
Repeat the full question again.
What advice
Would you get it?
would you give young Christians about being authentically yourself, but also being an example of Christ and a Baptist believer?
I tell my wife this all the time that Jesus has a sense of humor.
Yeah, he does.
So Jesus is not, didn't put you on earth to be this strict, straightforward, blunt Christian. You can have a personality. You can laugh. You can play. You can hang out. You can go to certain places, but you always remember that you are a Christian and you are a walking billboard of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wear a cross around your neck. You don't have to showcase your church, your pastor, because sometimes some of your behaviors, sometimes you don't want
You
to
don't want
be
that
wearing
get back to
that.
the church,
Get
boy.
back to the church.
You see your preacher? He was out there drinking.
So be your true self, but also learn. Continue to go to church consistently, and study the word for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on a preacher to preach a word and you hear something encouragement, or you go to a motivational speech.
Come on, Doc.
Disguised as a pastor.
Come on, Doc.
And then
Oh my.
Who ain't said a scripture yet?
who ain't say a scripture all sermon, and then that's what you hold on to all week, and then next you know you sharing reels on Instagram. I ain't talking about nobody.
This sound
Very
personal. Very personal. You got something you want to tell us, boy?
Go ahead and tell the people.
Get to a true Bible teaching, Bible believing church.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm a Baptist born, Baptist bred. When I die, I'm be Baptist dead.
Yes, sir.
Help us, Holy Ghost.
That's the Baptist creed.
But you don't have to be at a Baptist church. You can. There's Kojic churches that are Bible believing, Bible teaching churches.
Oh, yes.
There's AME. There's all type of denominations. But be your true self. And God will lead and guide. Just live with wisdom. Read the Bible. The Bible tells you that you can live life. And even in 1 Corinthians 12, if you're going to throw a scripture out there.
Come on, preacher.
God made us uniquely.
Yeah.
Because we all have our own special spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
God made each one of our own personality, made us very unique to where I don't have to do what Deron is doing. I don't have to do what Jasmine is doing or what Maya is doing. I can do what Paul is doing. And Jesus Christ is okay with that. Because if you keep reading in chapter 12, we all going to work together in the bigger community, working on one accord.
Yeah.
So be yourself. Yourself fits somewhere.
It fits somewhere.
It fits somewhere. So let's find where we fit within the larger community and be a star at your role.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers. Let's go.
Good little basketball reference.
And, for this side of the table that's not preachers, the other people, gotta keep coming back to that reference. There's a lot, there's a lot of people, young people, who don't know who they are, right? And so I feel like there's a message or a conversation we can have for people who are like, I'm just floating through life, not really sure who I am, not sure what my purpose is. And, and there's a lot of access to information. I joke all the time, they should have never gave y'all the internet. For a lot of reasons.
Because we still don't know how to use it.
Because, baby, to the point about reels and all this other stuff, we have so much access to other people's thoughts. Like, all the time. And the toil that probably takes some people who don't know who they are. And so I guess in addition to be yourself is like, investigate who that is, right? Like, ask the question, ask God, like, who did you make me to be? Who am I supposed to be? And and make sure if you have a vision of who you want to be, you're around people who also share those values and stuff, and I think that goes back to the original question of the importance of a young adult ministry. Right. If you're like, I want to be a young believer and, and serve, can't do that from Bedside Baptist, right?
Can't do it. I'm so glad you said that.
And so, like, what does that look like for folks who are figuring who they are out, figuring out who they are? And I think that is important for young people, too, to think about.
Absolutely. I would also say, too, not for everybody, but for some young people, it's okay if you don't find it out right after high school.
Come on, Doc.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't find it out right after college. No, we don't know when Jesus is coming back, but you can plan, do all of that, but worry about today. Worry about right now, because you trying to be Dr. Such and Such, and everybody wants to be a business owner. Listen, everybody can't be a business owner. You got to have some consumers. We got to have consumers, because everybody got businesses. How does the economy, right, Maya? Right? Right?
What did Nene Leak say? How did I get it?
She's a political genius. That's my cousin. No, but it's okay. But but also use your resources.
That's it.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. That gets a lot of people in trouble. Even me at my big age at work, I don't know everything, but I don't like asking a lot of questions sometimes, and you end up losing a lot of information. Yeah. So don't be afraid to do that.
So I love that, we have this space with each other to ask questions, because, Deron and I have, we hang out and I ask some tough questions. Or be like, look, this is going on in the world with my political brain, and this is what I'm thinking about it, and analyzing it from a spiritual sense. Like, what do you think about it? Yeah. And I would love to have more conversations, as a group with more people. I love to rhyme, but I mean, like that. And I think that's important, because I think it is spiritual malpractice when we act like or ignore what's going on in the world.
Yes.
And it's just like, no, it's fine. Like, let's just open our red Baptist hymnal and pretend everything is not happening.
From the Baptist
It's all a part of God's plan.
Yeah, and it's like,
is,
this is stuff that's really
It's real
happening,
stuff.
and people, again, access to information, are asking questions, and they want to know what to think about it, what to feel about it.
I feel like they need like practical like answers. Like people sometimes just shove the Bible. I mean, I know the Bible is our go-to, but at the same time, people need like right now, like like real life. That might sound bad.
No.
Like, because I don't up to date. Okay, because the Bible is very much a source that we can depend on, but at the same time, things are happening in this very moment, and as opposed to us saying, "Go pray about it. It's gonna happen one day."
Right.
Like they need something comforting right now, and the scripture can definitely provide that comfort, but go to a therapist too at the same time. Like if you need those practical like answers and like something tangible that you can touch and feel and be there in that moment with, as opposed to just always pushing, like forcing them like, oh, the Bible is the only way that you can get those answers, or one day it'll happen, or something like that. So, but I hope that's not received in the wrong way.
Well, I think we had a good podcast.
Oh, we ended it like that. We ended it like that. I like that.
Alrighty
Well,
then.
we got to keep them coming back for more.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot of topics that we can talk about in further podcasts. We talked about politics in the church. We talked about spiritual gifts. We talked about community. We talked about, maybe you need Jesus and a therapist. Talking about, we got some focus groups, our college students. What does that mean with our young adults? With college ministry, or is a young adult supposed to sponsor a college ministry? Hey. But we definitely got a lot of topics, a lot of things. We look forward. We're coming more episodes. So just look for more episodes as they come.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you where they're gonna drop because I don't know.
Cause we don't know. It's coming though. It's coming. Honestly, sorry to cut you off, but the more participation we get, I guess the easier it would be.
So like, comment, subscribe. I always wanted to say that.
And
Come on, on YouTube, yeah.
Make sure you click that bell.
Right.
Notification bell.
Also, if y'all have any questions, y'all can email us at G-R.E.A.L at nmztampa.com. Yeah, G-R.E.A.L at nmztampa.com. If you have any questions, anything that you want to hear us talk about, we'll be more than happy to bring that up.
Or Instagram, can they?
Instagram,
Can they
hey,
send us a DM on the Instagram?
message us on Instagram.
Slide in the DM.
Cause we all gonna see it. We all gonna and just in case you need
I
to
don't
know.
monitor the DMs.
Oh well,
I can monitor those.
Jasmine is going to be monitoring the DMs. But if you have any specific questions for like me or Paul or any of us really, because we all able to answer these questions. You don't have to just come to the preachers or the men folk. We have some great women who are educated, who know they stuff, and who's ready to help. Now, granted, they were kind of voluntold because Paul
100%.
and Maya, or not Paul, excuse me, Paul and Jasmine, and then me and Maya related. So I was like, hey, cuz, let's get it. And she was like, I don't know. But anyway, if you wanna follow us on Instagram, it's G_real_NMZ. Unless we change that. Y'all like that name?
That sounds good to me. It works.
We're going to keep it. So G_real_NMZ. Do we want to talk about Third Sunday?
Nah, we're going to get some more details. So look for the drop on Third Sunday.
Look
in
for
February.
what's coming on Third Sunday in February. So that means come to church so you can get the announcements. Follow us, like and subscribe so you can get the information. So that way you can't say your church don't have no young adult things going on, because we coming. We here. We like Deion Sanders. We coming. It was rough at first. We had some wins, we had some losses like the Buffs did, but we coming back. We coming.
You better wear that Detroit Lion jacket.
You are such a hater, bro.
Deron is the Bucks' biggest fan, believe it or not.
I am.
But if you want some more merch, you can put that in there so we can see what we can do. If you any vendors, we looking for you.
I'm screaming.
It is.
be posted on our social
Yeah.
media page, so don't worry.
See, I told you this.
This is actually getting cut out of the video.
They know how to condense everything.
And
We
Benedict us, please. Somebody, please.
All right, I'm done.
I'm done too.
I'm Paul.
I'm Duran.
We're the other people.
Ooh.
Other.
Jasmine Robinson and Maya Brown.
Wow, full government.
Yeah.
See you later.
All right, y'all.
See you next time.